More than 3 million fewer international arrivals in the first 7 months of the year. It's preliminary data that does not include travelers from Canada. Rich Thomason, Washington.
For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. The numbers.
On Point Weather on 107 The Point.
Here's your Labor Day forecast. We're mostly sunny and beautiful today. It'll be breezy. The high temperature topping out at 84. Tonight we'll cool down to 61 as our low. Now for Tuesday, absolutely glorious. Sunshine-filled skies, the high is 83. We'll have high temperatures in the mid-80s for the rest of the work week, and 20% chance we get some afternoon showers, both Wednesday and Thursday. I'm Cal Moss with your Arm Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make the point.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All righty. How was your weekend? Good to have you with us here live on this Labor Day night of 2020. A wonderful day. Weather is awesome. Weekend is behind us. How are you feeling? What are you thinking? Phone number 888-898-2525. I know you're grilling out, you're relaxing, you're recovering from the weekend. We got time. We got room. We're going to turn it over to you. Zach Willis will be here at 7:35 with First and 10 to help make sense of it all. But for the most part, we'll share our thoughts and then hear what you have to say. Want to get your thoughts on what you witnessed over the weekend, be it Clemson, be it South Carolina, be it Furman, be it Coastal, how about Presbyterian going to Mercer and winning? South Carolina State holding off Wofford. We'll touch on all that. Your thoughts, phone number 888-898-2525. Text message line is 803-900-4847. Good afternoon, Bergie. How are you?
I'm doing well, my friend. How about yourself? And first off, before we even get into football, congratulations on a new grandchild to the Kornblut family. That's how you do a football weekend.
Well, we really weren't talking about that, but thank you very much anyway.
How can we not? We got to give you props. Popcorn.
I know.
We got to give popcorn some props.
I don't necessarily like to broadcast the personal things, Bergie.
Well,
you know what I mean?
That's a little different. I get it. You don't want to celebrate your birthday, but at least your grandkid's birthday.
Yeah, so we did have one.
Congrats.
Yeah, the boy had another one. The boys got 2. The girls got 3. Total 5 on my team right now. 5 on my team.
Excellent.
Probably be capped.
Got your basketball team.
We got a cap. We have a limit. We have a cap. Probably be 6. Be my guess. So thank you very much. Yep, his name is Theodore James. They're going to call him Teddy. In fact, I text with Teddy Hefner, the original Teddy, and asked him if Teddy was a good name. Said it's worked out well for him. So, okay. It passed the test of Teddy Hefner. Anyway, how was your weekend? I know your game wasn't very good. Talk about that in just a second. I went to 3 games. I went to Furman, I went to Clemson, and I went to Atlanta for South Carolina, Virginia Tech. So we'll touch on all those very quickly. Furman got a quarterback, like him, Hedden. He was there last year. He's better this year. Got a nice arm. They got some speed. They got a receiver kick returner named Devin Hester Jr. No, not the son. Not the son.
Oh,
no. Everybody thinks he's the son of. In fact, when he took a kickoff back 80 yards, I think it was, or 75 yards the other day, somebody, one of the websites, internet sites, posted that, like father, like son. But no, he's not the son of the Devin Hester. He's the son of a Devin Hester, but not the Devin Hester. But he's good enough for Furman and gives them some speed. So that was a good win for them over William and Mary. Enjoyed being back at Furman. Great place to watch a football game. Then over to Clemson. I was able to stay for the whole Furman game, get over to Clemson. I don't know I've ever walked into a stadium that sounded like Clemson's did on Saturday night. Maybe I have. Maybe I've been in an equal situation. Incredible crowd energy for that game. And, like we had talked about leading up to it for weeks when I thought LSU was going to win the game, Clemson's running game non-existent, some issues on the offensive line. Defense was pretty good. You got to tip your hat to the defense. I got to ask the question, why does Clemson pay Garrett Riley $2 million a year? Why? Somebody tell me why they pay him $2 million a year. They pay him to score points. But time and again, against the better opponents on the schedule in his 3 years, they have not, particularly SEC teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's 4 straight losses to SEC teams in which they're averaging about 15 points a game in those 4 games. That's back-to-back home losses for Clemson. I was trying to do a quick scan here to see when it was the last time Clemson had lost back-to-back at home. Remember, they lost last year to end the season at home against South Carolina. They lose to open the season at home against LSU. That just doesn't happen to Clemson.
No.
But they could not make the big plays on offense. They were very inconsistent. Klubnik was bad Klubnik. He really was. I mean, he made a few plays here and there, had a couple of runs, hit a couple of balls, a few balls here and there, but he was not the big playmaker that they needed him to be. He did throw an interception. He almost had a bonehead play at the goal line that would have given LSU another touchdown. But it's ridiculous that Clemson only ran the ball 20 times. And I don't believe Adam Randall is going to make it at running back. I just don't believe, and I mean, this is an outside observation. The coaches, of course, they see him, and that's who they believe is the guy. But Berge, he's a big wide receiver trying to play running back. He's upright, and he powered into the end zone for that one touchdown. But by and large, it didn't show me anything. Then again, none of the running backs showed me anything. Then again, the offensive line didn't block for the running game. Then again, they hardly called a run. They seem lost on offense. I can't wait to have Chuck Reedy break it down on Wednesday night from his vantage point. Oftentimes you hear him say, where are they trying to be on offense? Here, I think they don't know what they want to be on offense.
I think they want to be a passing team, Phil, and they just have to run it because that's what you're supposed to do. You can't have Cade Klubnik of the 20 carries that they had as a team. You can't have your quarterback having half of them. And I bought into some of the hype, I'll admit, and you pointed out correctly, and you should give yourself a lot of credit. I know you won't, but you deserve it because you pointed out correctly. How can Clemson not have a solid running game with the history of that position at Clemson? How have they not recruited better at that position? And I think it showed itself against LSU because Brian Kelly even said he was asked in the postgame. He said, how were you guys so successful against them defensively? And he said, well, when we realized they couldn't run the football, we made them one-dimensional. Mm-hmm. And then we could put pressure on Cade Klubnik. And not only is that their 4th straight loss against the SEC, it is now 7 in a row for them against ranked SEC teams. So the only time they've been competitive and better than is when they played an SEC team that they were, quite frankly, already better than. And this is a program that wants to join the SEC. Tiger fans, you got to really think about this. I mean, I've got good news and bad news for you. The good news is you don't have to play another SEC team until the end of the year. The bad news is you've got to play another SEC team at the end of the year that may be ranked.
You're right. But coming off the weekend, you'd have to say, look out for Florida State when they come to Clemson. Look out for Miami if you end up playing them for the ACC championship. We'll see what North Carolina looks like tonight when they play TCU, but you got to go to North Carolina. You're going to have to go to Louisville to play on a Friday night. There are some other dangerous spots out there for Clemson. And
Georgia Tech, Phil. Don't forget what Georgia Tech did Friday. They went to Colorado and beat the Buffaloes.
That was another one that I think that Clemson's going to have a problem with because they have a running quarterback who's very good. And he can beat you running the football. I think he rushed for over 100 yards in that game against Colorado. I think he ran for a lot of yards. and he's Haynes King's a really good thrower too. Yeah, that's
Yes,
going to be
he
a
is.
tough. That's going to be a tough game. That Georgia Tech team has been reinvented under their new coaching staff, relatively new coaching staff there, Brent Key. So that's going to be a tough out for them in Atlanta. So this is an overreaction Manic Monday, so that's what we're doing. We're overreacting after 1 week, as everybody else is. I mean, really, nothing is as bad as it seems. Nothing is as good as it seems. You go to South Carolina and Virginia Tech, and that's a heck of a win for South Carolina. Virginia Tech, I think, will be, after watching them, they're going to be a factor in the ACC in some way. They're going to win some games. They've got two of the best receivers in the ACC, if not even a broader scope than that, Green and Green. And Drones is a very good quarterback, running and throwing. So they've got some good weapons. They ran the ball pretty well at times. But South Carolina, it wasn't an overall great performance by them. They got the win, which was what they went in there to do. And this was not some little sister of the poor opening game that they've had in recent years. This was a real tough one. And they hung in there till they finally took control in the fourth quarter. And Shane Beamer may have we'll have to see how the season plays out. We don't know how the season's going to play out. But at least in week one, Shane Beamer had to make the coaching decision of the weekend, possibly for the season. I mean, how many coaches would have gone back and had Virginia Tech punt the football? They would have taken the 5 yards, sent the offense out. They'd had good field position, sent the offense out. But, he had a sense. He had a history. He has a good return man. Look, that thing could have blown up. You could have made them punt again, which they did. Swain could have fumbled the ball, as he had done earlier in the game. They could have hit a boomer of a kick and sent you back towards your goal line. He did hit a good kick. He outkicked his coverage. But their thinking was, with the alignment and the personnel that Virginia Tech had on the field, that if he could just make a guy or two miss, he'd be facing the fat boys, and he could outrun them to the goal line. And that's what happened. He got by the front line. He made somebody miss, broke a tackle, the heavy personnel was back there, and he was able to run by him for the touchdown. That turned the game to the Gamecocks, and then they had the 64-yard pass to Harbor, who's really going to have a great year. Man, he looks so confident. He looks so smooth out there running. Nobody's going to be able to cover him. So those were high marks.
2 touchdowns.
Should have had 2 touchdowns, exactly. High marks there. Lenore Sellers was very, very good. His passing was good for the most part. The thing is, they were so much better in their opening drive and then late in the game when Mike Shula went to the tempo. They were just so much better when they got up off the ground, went to the line, ran a play, and played at a high tempo. That's how they went right down the field. That first drive was a thing of beauty. I mean, they just came right out and slugged Virginia Tech like they didn't know what hit them. I'm thinking to myself, they might score 50 points if they keep playing like that. Then they got bogged down. And it became a punting contest. Now, the defense was fantastic, holding Virginia Tech to just 3 field goals. Of course, there was a safety in there. Safety should never have happened because Fred Johnson should never have run the interception out of the end zone. He gave them a bad field position. It was great to get the pick because Virginia Tech was driving. It was great for them to get the pick. But, I mean, he's got to have field awareness. He put his team at the 2-yard line, and the offensive line didn't block well, and Sellers got smothered, and it was a safety. And there were times that the offensive line got whipped, no doubt about it, in the running game and in some pass protection. I think they gave up 3 sacks. But that's going to happen. Nobody's going to play a perfect game anytime, especially week one. But I did like the look of the offensive linemen. I liked the look of the defensive line. They ran, I think the total was like 11 different linemen between ends and tackles out there. They had some really good depth. Linebackers surprised the heck out of me. The linebackers were fast, and they would hit you, and they played great. Biggest disappointment was the secondary.
Oh, no doubt.
Biggest disappointment was secondary. Too many deep balls, too many times corners lost where the ball was, lost the receiver. Green and Green were excellent receivers now, but you got to play the football. You got to play the football. And, of course, they lost Judge very early. That hurt. We'll find out tomorrow, I guess, from Shane Beamer what the status there is with him, with the knee injury there. Jatius Gear went out with what appeared to be like a arm or shoulder injury. But, yeah, that was the biggest disappointment, was the play of the secondary. Gave up too many big plays. Kicking game was, I think they averaged about 49 yards a punt, and Joyce made his one field goal attempt, and everything they kicked off went into the end zone. So no complaints there. So South Carolina passed a test. They passed a test, and this was one that you could not lose if you're going to have the kind of season they hope to have. Now you're looking at, of course, South Carolina State, which scored late to beat Wofford in a really good game up in Orangeburg. They have two quarterbacks. State does two quarterbacks. They combined for over They threw 50 passes, and they combined for over 300 yards passing. So you get an idea of what they're going to do. By the way, I thought Dylan Stewart was really, really good. He didn't have a sack, but he was constantly in the backfield. He was constantly putting pressure on, harassing people. Well, he did have one sack, didn't he? Yes, I'm sorry. He did have one sack. Yeah, but he was constantly putting pressure on people. I thought he played really well. I thought Brian Thomas played well on the other side. But that's South Carolina State coming in, and then you've got Vanderbilt. I mean, you really got a chance here. You really got a chance to get off to a great start at South Carolina. Now, after watching LSU and watching Nussmeier and those receivers and that defense, when South Carolina goes to LSU, that's going to be tough. I mean, I thought LSU going into the Clemson game was for real, was going to have a chance to, hey, look, I picked them to win the SEC. They got my vote at SEC Media Days. They didn't do anything in that hostile environment to make me change my mind about them. They're well coached. They played well. They've got good speed on the outside. Their defense is really good. Yeah, LSU is going to be tough when South Carolina goes there, but we got time to worry about that. And then Coastal Carolina went up to Virginia.
Oh, boy. Yeah, Charlottesville's a nice place to visit. We didn't want to stay there very long. Outstanding performance by UVA. I think Tony Elliott, and on the flip side, we talk about how difficult the Gamecock schedule is in the SEC. Tony Elliott in Virginia, and I'm not predicting them to be any significant factor. I still don't think they're there. But I think they have the makings of a pretty good season forthcoming because they've got a quarterback now. They've got Chad Morris's son, Chandler Morris, who, if he's okay, I have not seen anything. He took a pretty bad shot to his shoulder late in the third quarter, running the football down to about the 2-yard line. Didn't come back in. They didn't need him at that point in time. The game was pretty much out of hand anyway. But he was terrific. They've got some wide receivers they can get the ball to, and they lean heavily still on the run game, and that's exactly what they did against Coastal. They were pretty balanced. They didn't have the running attack that they had a season ago against CCU when they rolled up almost 400 yards on the ground, but they passed it for 290, so they didn't necessarily have to run it as well as they did. But where they won the ball game, much like South Carolina, special teams. They were terrific in special teams. They blocked a punt. They've got a wide receiver now that Coastal has seen for years, and we're about ready for him to graduate, Cam Ross, who's a transfer from James Madison. I haven't seen the ACC's Players of the Week yet. I'm not sure they've come out. If he's not on that list, I'll be surprised. He had a 100-yard kickoff return, also had 124 yards receiving and a touchdown through the air. So that kid was terrific, and they played very, very well. And Coastal just never could get anything going. They couldn't run the football all that well. Put themselves in third and long way too often, turned it over 3 times. They were 1 of 14 on third down. So anything that you want to do to self-inflicted wounds, CCU did. And clearly they would have had to play perfect even to have a chance against Virginia. You give the Cavaliers that many opportunities. The block punt set up a touchdown. Obviously they ran another touchdown in off the, off the kickoff return, Phil, and you just Coastal and most G5 teams just aren't good enough to overcome a Power 4 team if you give them that many opportunities, especially at home.
Yeah, no question about it. So you get Charleston Southern at home this Saturday, so a chance to refocus, come home, give away a bunch of this is it. This is the beginning of the free concessions, right?
That is correct. Yeah. Everybody who buys a ticket, even Charleston Southern fans, if you've got the Coastal app You just scan it, go through, and get free concessions. And I'll be fascinated to watch to see what happens. And this is not all on. It's much like you talked about. You can pick apart what Clemson did. Their running game was miserable against LSU, and I think LSU probably deserves as much credit for making it that bad as maybe Clemson's run game is just not that good. But it's hard to place all the blame on one side of the coin. But MJ Morris struggled moving Coastal through the air and on the ground, just moving that offense at all. Had one scoring drive, and he played the entire ball game at quarterback. So I'll be interested to see if he's still the guy. Are they going to go back to competition and maybe give Samari Collier a chance to play? He didn't play against UVA, presumably the backup. Morris went out of the game for one play because his helmet got knocked off, and Tad Hudson came in to run that play. And then Tad checked back out of the contest, and Morris was in for the rest of the game. So I don't know where Tim Beck's situation is right now, but clearly it was not the performance he was expecting. He even mentioned that to our radio crew in the postgame. He said, I expected a lot better from our team. So they've all got to go back to work. And when you get beat 48-7, there's a good bit of stuff you can work on going into week 2.
Oh, absolutely. I would think they would stick with their guy. He's a transfer. He's an older guy. One game playing an ACC opponent on the road. I think you stick with him. Have a big game against Charleston Southern. Should have a big game against those guys. Get your confidence going and then get ready for the next step along the way. Of course,
which is
Clemson,
East Carolina.
Yeah, and Clemson's getting ready for Troy. And Troy's quarterback is a name familiar around here because we followed him in recruiting back in the day. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Traveling can be the worst, especially when you can't find your favorite show. Well, don't worry. We've got the perfect way to keep up with everything happening in the Palmetto State when you're away from home. Just pull up the Chief Sports app on your mobile device, and you can listen live to Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network.
So the next time you can't find us on one of our great radio affiliates, just log on to the Chief Sports app, the best way to stay connected with the Sports Talk Media Network.
This is Major Billy Downer with the Department of Natural Resources, and I've got a message for all of our hunters out there. When you go afield, always make sure to positively identify your target. Know the identifying features of the game you're hunting, and know what's beyond your target in case you miss. If you want more information on hunter education, visit dnr.sc.gov or join us on Wednesday nights for SC Wild.
You can listen to SC Wild on the Sports Talk Media Network or at dnr.sc.gov/podcasts.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Hi, Phil Kornblut here with our good friend George Bryan III. Heard every Friday night on Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps right here on Sports Talk. George, the Tsunami Bar, a very valuable tool for golfers. Why is that?
Well, the first thing that I say is the tempo. It's the only tool out there that allows the study of tension right from the first grab to be expressed, and rhythm and tempo is what makes the bar work, and it gives you something awfully special to keep those hands soft and get that rhythm going.
Learn more about Tsunami Bar technology by clicking on the digital ad on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and save 5% by purchasing online using the promo code BBB5. All right, not just a manic Monday, it's an overreaction manic Monday. Goose Crowder is the Troy quarterback. He's out of Alabama. He's a guy South Carolina had some interest in recruiting. He made a recruiting visit to South Carolina in March of 2020. He eventually signed with West Virginia. Then he transferred to Troy in 2023. Saturday, he passed for 144 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also, former Gamecock defensive tackle Elijah Davis is a starting DT for Troy. Saturday, in a win over Nichols, had 2 tackles and a half tackle for loss. They had to score a bunch of points in the fourth quarter to win that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nichols is not bad. They opened up the season at the FCS level. They opened up the season upsetting Incarnate Word, I think it was. So that's actually not a bad win for Troy. Now they're working into an entirely different animal this weekend, angry bunch of Tigers. I was kind of surprised, though, considering what Clemson did against LSU, that they're, a 32.5-point favorite?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Brett McMurphy still has Clemson in the playoffs as a number 11 seed, and he still has South Carolina going to the Liberty Bowl. I mean, I don't get that whatsoever. And he still doesn't have Coastal Carolina having a postseason. Okay, we'll be back. Take your phone calls. Don't go away.
On Point weather on 107 The Point.
Here's your Labor Day forecast. We're mostly sunny and beautiful today. It'll be breezy, the high temperature topping out at 84. Tonight will cool down to 61 as our low. Now for Tuesday, absolutely glorious. Sunshine-filled skies, the high is 83. We'll have high temperatures in the mid-80s for the rest of the work week, and 20% chance we get some afternoon showers, both Wednesday and Thursday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, it's Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We're introducing Friday Night Prime Rib Special. Our great chefs at Flight Deck Restaurant have created a great prime rib dinner special, which includes a 10-ounce slow-roasted certified Angus beef prime rib dinner, served with 2 sides of your choice for only $22.95. And if you mention We Love Flight Deck, you get a free cookie or a soft drink with your meal. So come see us at Flight Deck Restaurant to enjoy a delicious slow-roasted prime rib dinner. While you're here, check out the new and improved arcade with over 33 games. We at Flight Deck Restaurant thank you, and God bless.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump says he's awarding former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani the Presidential Medal of Freedom, announcing the honor 2 days after his political ally was badly injured in a traffic accident. Trump, in a statement on social media, called Giuliani, who was heralded for his leadership following the September 11th attacks, the greatest mayor in the history of New York City and an equally great American patriot. As parades and other events celebrating the contributions of workers in the U.S. are being held for the Labor Day holiday, experts say President Trump's stepped-up immigration policies are impacting the nation's labor force. More than 1.2 million immigrants disappeared from the labor force from January through the end of July. More details at srnnews.com.
I don't know too many folks out there who love paying taxes, but what about getting tax credits? That's appealing, right? My buddy Ken at Broker Solar is in the tax credit business. How would you like a solar battery that helps do 2 things? First, it serves as an instant generator the moment the power cuts out, and it doesn't even require gasoline. Secondly, it lets you take some control back from the power companies. Yeah, you can use solar power during the peak hours when your power company wants to charge you the most. Oh, and that tax credit on solar batteries, you can get a 30% tax credit right now. This is a phenomenal time to reach out to Ken. He'll come out to your home or your business. He'll give you a comprehensive free estimate, answer any questions. Solar isn't free, but you need to take advantage of those credits when they do come around. Call Ken right now. Save on a solar-powered battery. Online, find him at brokersolar.com or just call Ken, 807-7417. That's 807-7417, Broker Solar.
What's better than getting the best Wagyu and Hereford beef anywhere in these parts and getting it delivered to your door? How about knowing you're still supporting local farmers in Saluda over at H&J Cattle, where tradition meets quality? Visit HandJCattle.com. Place your order for $50 or more, get free delivery in Richland or Lexington County. Plus, Point listeners get 10% off your order. Enter keyword The Point as one word for your discount. HandJCattle.com.
Maybe your credit's seen better days, or maybe it's just never been quite where you want it to be. At Founders Federal Credit Union, we get it. Life happens. Things don't always go according to plan. But that doesn't mean your goals are out of reach. Whether it's a car to get to work or a little extra breathing room in your budget, we offer personal and auto loans to help you move forward. With flexible terms and a team that treats you like a person, not a number. We take the time to understand because you don't need a perfect credit score to start your next chapter. Visit a local Founders office or foundersfcu.com to learn more. Founders, helping you do life on your terms, helping you build a brighter financial future. All it takes is one visit to foundersfcu.com to get you started. Relax, you've got this with Founders. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life with Spa MD, your sanctuary of rejuvenation. Feel the tension melt away as our expert team guides you through your customized wellness journey. From soothing massages to revitalizing treatments, we promise a remarkable experience that leaves you feeling renewed and empowered. Discover the calm within every visit. Reach out at 251-9400 or online at visitspamd.com to explore your options. Your oasis of tranquility awaits.
That ended quickly. I wanted to hear more of that. I'd rather hear that than me and Bergie and you, Plummer. All right, we're back. Sports Talk on a Labor Day night live on our stations across the state, coming to you from Columbia and Sardis. Our phone number, 888-898-2525. Lines are open if you want to join us on this holiday night, 888-898-2525. Also, text message line brought to you by Larry Lucas Insurance, and that number is 803-900-4847. In fact, speaking of Larry Lucas Insurance, poll question of the week brought to you by Larry Lucas Insurance in Columbia. Be sure to call Larry at 803-799-1998 for all your insurance needs. After week one, which of these statements is closest to the truth? Clemson, sky is falling. USC, sky is the limit. Or too soon to tell. 71% voted too soon to tell.
Smart people. Yes, it's way too soon to tell.
28.6%. All the other votes went to South Carolina. South Carolina, the sky is the limit. Nobody believes the sky is falling on Clemson. By the way, unless I missed something in going back through my research, the last time Clemson lost back-to-back home games was 1998. In the midst of a 4-game losing streak, they lost at home to North Carolina State and to Georgia Tech. That was Tommy West's last season at Clemson. That was
incredible.
A 3-8 campaign. Also, our man Smitty, doing some statistical research, had a couple of interesting notes on Clemson regarding their issues with SEC teams. Having lost last 4 games against SEC teams, Clemson's average rushing totals for those games per game, 25 carries per game for 73 yards, 2.92 yards per carry. The opponents of those 4 games averaged 37 carries, 209 yards, or 5.6 yards per carry. Clemson has been outrushed by its last 5 Power 4 opponents: Pittsburgh, South Carolina, SMU, Texas, and LSU. By the way, they are favored by 32 over Troy this Saturday. So I imagine they're going to come out against Troy, line up, turn, and hand the football off to the running backs. You'll probably see the freshman running back, Davidson, get in there. He didn't get any carries on Saturday. Maybe they feel like he's not ready. Maybe they felt like it wasn't a good situation to put him in. But I imagine that they're going to try to just get the running game going, regain some confidence in that, and then get ready to go to Georgia Tech the next week with a renewed fervor and renewed confidence in their running game.
I think, Phil, you're going to see a repeat. It may not get this lopsided, but I think you will see a repeat of what happened last year after they got humiliated by Georgia. They turned around and blew out Appalachian and rushed for over 250 yards. I think you're spot on with that game plan. That's exactly what they're going to do. They've got to get some confidence going in that ground game. They're not beating people. Cade Klubnik cannot do it all by himself. I mean, he's got a wonderful group of wide receivers around him. Probably like to have Adam Randall back as one of them, but he just can't do it all by himself. So they've got to find a way to run the football, or they're not going to have anywhere close to the season that I think they want.
So that is where Clemson stands right now in South Carolina, getting ready to host South Carolina State on Saturday. Both of those teams feeling good coming off their wins on Saturday. Talked about what both of those did elsewhere around the state. On Saturday or over the weekend, of course, South Carolina played on Sunday. I mentioned Furman beating William and Mary, a very good win for the Paladins there. Presbyterian went to Mercer and beat Mercer. Mercer was ranked number 11 in FCS football, and PC, little old PC, went in there and beat Mercer. And now PC, for the first time I can remember, maybe ever, they got votes in the FCS ranking this week. Not enough to crank the top 25. Mercer's still in the top 25. They got votes, but Furman didn't get any votes after beating William and Mary. Now go figure.
Yeah, I don't quite get that, and I think you're right about PC because it would have only been in their early days of moving up to Division I and playing FCS when they were coming off pretty good Division II teams that they could have carried over to FCS, but I don't think they were ever ranked then. But the job they did, and you got to give them a lot of credit because Mercer is a darn good football team, and to pretty much hold them to one touchdown, I believe. No, two. One touchdown. I mean, just tremendous play by PC on the defensive side, especially.
Yeah, no question about it. That's a great win. Well, I told you after visiting there, we visited with Coach Engelhardt and those players, and you just had a feeling that they believed in themselves and they had reason to believe in themselves, and that's proven it. I mean, they went out and beat on the road a nationally ranked FCS team. And they're PC. They're a team that does not give scholarships. They're in the Pioneer League, for crying out loud. So that's just a terrific win for them.
And it's a beatdown across the board too. I mean, they outgained them 416 to 241.
Yeah.
I mean, the score makes it sound a whole lot closer than the statistics would lead you to believe.
Yeah. In their 16-15 loss at South Carolina State Saturday, Wofford missed field goals on their last two possessions. The second one from 48 yards with 4 seconds to play. State used two quarterbacks through 50 passes for 303 yards. Of course, the Bulldogs will play at South Carolina on Saturday. And I'm told, I know you're glad you were where you were, and I'm glad I was where I was. I'm told the elevator wasn't working at the press box.
Oh no!
at State, so I pity the poor folks who had to climb those steps.
They have the worst time with that elevator over there, don't they?
It's something. It's a beaut. It's a beaut. Elsewhere around the state over the weekend, Charleston Southern went to Vanderbilt and lost, as you would expect. The Citadel just got drilled by North Dakota State. I mean, just got drilled. How about Benedict shutting out Fayetteville State? Season-opening win for the Tigers at home. And here's another impressive performance. It was a loss, but Allen, Division II school, as you know, the little school that can. I mean, I have a place in my heart for Allen. If you saw, and look, they're not looking for pity from anybody. It is what it is. If you saw how this team had to practice,
Oh, yeah.
They went to Morehead State, which is are they FCS or are they?
Yes,
they are FCS. Well, but
yes.
that's Division I FCS.
Correct.
They went up there and almost beat them. They went up to Morehead State and very close loss. Their quarterback, Jameer Dismukes, who was on Sports Talk, he threw for 309 yards and 2 touchdowns. They had just one penalty in 72 plays.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Shane
good.
Beamer would like to take that, considering how many penalties USC had yesterday.
I think they had 8. total of 8. And Anderson won. Anderson beat Shorter, and they beat them handily, so they're off to a 1-0 start. So that's a look around the state coming up this week. South Carolina hosting SC State, Clemson hosting Troy, Charleston Southern going to Coastal. Presbyterian will be at Furman. All of a sudden, that game's got a different feel to it. Richmond plays at Wofford, and it will be Newberry opening up at Virginia Wise. The Citadel goes to Samford. Erskine opens up at Anderson. North Greenville opens up at Delta State. And Allen will be home to Livingstone. So that's what we've got coming up this week.
Excuse me, Phil. Moorhead is Division I, but they are also like PC. They're FCS not scholarship, so they play in the Pioneer League.
Okay.
With PC. Didn't
realize that. Some other notes to talk about. Phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery Lucky number. A couple of text messages as well. Let's hit those up real quick. Text message line 803-900-4847. This is from Murray. The Gamecock offense not impressive. Got to roll Sellers out more and let him have an option. The drop-back passing game leaves a lot to be desired. Okay. Well, they look good in the passing game really on 2 series. The first one, he looked sharp as you can look. Just right down the field. Everything was right on the money. Quick routes. Receivers were open. Put the ball on the money. They went right down the field, and they scored. Then it was a dry spell for the Gamecocks after they scored that touchdown. They had the punt. Then they had the safety. Then they had a punt. Then they had a punt. Then they had a field goal late in the first half. Well, in the second quarter, had a field goal. And then in the second half, a couple of punts and then that long touchdown pass. And, of course, they lost a possession on the punt return for a touchdown. That was one less offensive possession that they would have had. But I thought that fourth quarter drive, that led to it was not really a drive. It was only 3 plays, 75 yards. But on that particular play, he dropped back. He had excellent protection. They gave him a really nice pocket. He was able to step into his throw, and he put that thing right on the money for Harbor. So I would say, I would give the Gamecock offense against a pretty good defense. You got to consider who you're playing. That's a pretty good defense. But I would give them about a B-, I would say. It was far from perfect. They had too many empty drives, too many empty possessions where they just couldn't do anything. Blocking up front was suspect at times. So, yeah, I think the offense is still going to be a work in progress here for a little bit.
Well, and they've still got to, I think, assimilate the 2 running backs. I thought Oscar Attaway actually may have outplayed Herschel Faison, though Faison didn't get half as many carries. But still, Lenore Sellers is their best running option. And some of the stuff he did yesterday, I mean, they're going to be Virginia Tech guys having nightmares last night and tonight about trying to tackle him, especially on the one play I think he scrambled out of the pocket, shook 2 defenders and ran down the left sideline for a crucial first down to sort of melt the game away. I mean, they should have sacked him twice. It reminded me of what he did against Clemson a couple of times last year. I mean, some of the runs he makes, you just can't coach. And to the texter's point, I mean, when you get him out of the pocket sometimes and give him that option, he can be very, very dangerous.
Well, I would say, much like you pointed out about Klubnik, Sellers carried the ball 13 times. I'm not so sure you want him carrying it 13 times.
No, I would agree.
And, I mean, he netted 25 yards. Now, you had some sack yardage in there as well, so he ended up with 25 yards with a long of 16. So, yeah, they need to get their running game going. Attaway ended up with 60 yards on 14 carries. He averaged 4.3. Faison averaged over 5.5 yards a carry. He only had 7 carries for 40 yards. I mean, the Gamecocks didn't have a lot of snaps, though. They ended up running just 56 plays. So they didn't have that opportunity. I tell you, one of the negatives for the defense was their third down defense. They gave up too many third down conversions. 8 of 18 was Virginia Tech. That's why they ended up running 72 plays to the Gamecocks 56. So that's got to be a little bit of an area of concern here this week.
Well, and it's to Clayton White's credit and his unit's credit, their conditioning, Phil, 9 more minutes of possession time for Virginia Tech. yet they did not score a touchdown. I mean, what they were able to do defensively and just keep them out of the end zone, the bend it, but don't break. They got a couple of opportunities in there, and Brent Pry had to settle for field goals. You're going to win games when you don't give up touchdowns. I don't know what the statistic is, but my guess is somewhere in the 95 plus percentile that if you don't give up a touchdown to another team, you win the game.
That's a safe bet. That's a real safe bet.
I think that's pretty. It may be higher than that.
One more text message coming in, 803-900-4847. This is off the topic of college football, but on the Cowboys and the big trade, could the Cowboys use those picks from the Packers to move up and get a player they want? Thanks, LG. Well, of course they could. They could put a package together come next draft day. They could put a package together, and wherever they happen to be in the draft, obviously they could put that use those picks, put a package together to move up. If they want to move up to if they're not already number one, they might have the number one pick anyway, with the Cowboys. But if not, if they wanted to move way on up in the order, they could certainly put a deal together and move on up. So, yeah, that's something to keep an eye on.
I've got a fascinating story when we come back out of the break to talk about the Herschel Walker trade that I had never heard. They're not going to be able to do quite this well off of that, but it was a fascinating move by the Cowboys back then.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's CORBETT. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
The lottery is not about getting rich. It's about helping people, and it always has been. The lottery is what helped raise the Great Wall of China, build the roads of Rome, and today in South Carolina, it's what generates millions of dollars each year for scholarships like the SC Hope, Life, and Palmetto Fellows. The South Carolina Education Lottery is investing in you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou to learn more.
Straight Up Sports is simply all sports, all the time. Straight Up Sports is a collection of retired and award-winning sports writers and sports broadcasters from around South Carolina. Like Bob Gillespie from the State Newspaper, Scott Kiefer from the Greenville News, and Mark Sturgis from ESPN Upstate. Straight Up Sports is about the stories, just like the days gone by with no editors nor managers involved. Check us out on Facebook or Twitter or online at straightupsports.net.
All right, Sports Talk on this Labor Day night, 2025. Great to have you with us. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and the plumber. And you were going to say what?
We bust up to Charlottesville, so to fill the time on the bus, actually I was watching a Netflix documentary on the Cowboys and the rise of Jerry Jones as their owner, how he took over and how he's guided them. And during that expose, they talked about the Herschel Walker trade, of course, one of the biggest in NFL history. They sent Herschel Walker to Minnesota and got a ton of picks back that ultimately became some of their best players in Cowboys history. And, of course, all the Dallas fans at the time were, we only have one commodity. Why are you trading Herschel Walker? Keep him. Let's build around him. Mm-hmm. But what people didn't realize, and I didn't either, maybe you've heard this story, but they got 5 players in that trade with Minnesota to go along with those picks. Well, as part of the deal, if they did not keep those guys on the roster, if they cut them at the end of the year, they got picks for those from Minnesota for those guys. And that's what turned out to help them build the franchise to what we saw in the late 80s and throughout much of the 90s. I thought it was a shrewd trade and one where they really got over on Minnesota that I had never heard. All you hear is, okay, because they wanted Emmitt Smith in the draft anyway, and they felt like they were going to be able to get him, and then they got all these picks back as well when they cut those guys that weren't going to play for Dallas anyway.
Yeah.
And so I don't think Green Bay got fleeced quite like that.
No.
I don't believe. But, boy, Minnesota did not come out of that looking anywhere close to as good as I thought they were.
There is some question if Parsons will be ready for the season opener against Detroit. He's been dealing with a little bit of an injury. I don't know how much training camp work he had with the Cowboys, so
that's a good question.
He could be on the sideline. Players of the week: South Carolina linebacker Fred Johnson, punt returner Vakari Swain. In the SEC, Furman's place kicker, who's excellent, Ian Williams, named the National Player of the Week for the FCS school. So they've got a really good kicker, too. Another thing to like about Furman. Let's go to Andy in Columbia. Up next on Sports Talk. Hello, Andy. Welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing good for a Labor Day.
Yes, sir.
I'm laboring hard watching TV
Mm-hmm.
and listening to you fellas.
Good for you.
Number one, that Johnson, well, just both the linebackers, I was totally surprised by their pursuit on the line and their speed and what they did. It was, to me, something that no one was talking about the whole preseason, and they were a very big surprise. But a bigger surprise to me was the lack of production from the wide receiver corps, other than Nick Harbor. I mean, only one other catch by a wide receiver? Murph had one catch, I think, and that might have been it.
Let's see here.
What happened to Bennett?
Harbor had three. Harbor had three. Murph had one, and that's it. Yeah,
and the rest were tight ends.
Smith, Brown, Attaway had two catches, and but I mean, targeting wise, they threw 7 passes at Harbor. He caught 3 of them. They threw 5 passes at Hunt. He caught 4 of them. Again, a lot of that short stuff along the line of scrimmage. Murph caught 1 pass for 21 yards.
Harbor actually had 4 catches. That one they took away.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Boy, that was I'm so sick and tired of that, too. I mean, same thing in the Clemson game. I'm sorry, that was a touchdown catch by the LSU receiver.
Down.
Yeah. And that was
Harbor
a touchdown catch by Harbor.
In the end zone, and then they said that he didn't complete the pass after he was out of bounds.
We're overanalyzing this stuff. I mean, really, he had hands on the ball inbounds, feet down inbounds, made a football move inbounds, and he's falling out of bounds. This isn't the case of both of these guys, the one at Clemson and the one here. Just because he's juggling the ball a little bit, he'd made a football move. They made the catch. They had their feet down. They made a football move. I mean, come on. You gotta lighten up on that rule some, I think. It's just when a guy makes a play like that, he should be rewarded.
I mean, that's almost the same thing as if he would have caught the ball and wouldn't have been in an end zone. And he would have made a football move, and the ball would have been knocked out of his hands. They would have called it a pass completion and a fumble recovery if the Virginia Tech guy would have recovered the ball.
Yeah, I think it's a terrible call. I think both of those are terrible calls, yeah.
Now, what happened with Bennett? Was he just not able to get any separation? Because he was kind of, I think one ball was thrown to him maybe?
I don't have him down for any targets.
I think one got knocked down that was thrown to him.
Yeah, I've got him for no targets. I've got him for no targets. I would say that I would just, look, Sellers did not have the greatest of protection all game long. He had great protection on the long touchdown pass, but I mean he was flushed out of the pocket a lot. He was running around for his life a lot. He took off running. How many times did he carry the ball? Carried the ball 13 times. Not all of those were predetermined runs.
When he downed it though towards the end of the game 3 times, wouldn't that count as rushes? so you can probably take 20
but those
out
count
of
as
that.
team. Those count as team rushes, not individual rush.
Oh, okay. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if that was counted as individual or.
Those are counted as team rushes. So that goes in a
I'll tell you
different
what,
category.
that stays on when you got 1st and 32.
Ooh.
And you're able
That's
to
a
move
great
the ball
play.
29 yards. That was big.
He showed what he could do. Now, the Gamecocks used 3 running backs in the ball game. No, I'm sorry. They only used 2 running backs. They used Attaway. They used Faison. I don't think Augustov got in there. I don't think if he did, he didn't get a carry. He might have gotten in there. I don't think he got a carry, though. Actually, I know he didn't get a carry. He doesn't show up in the stats. So they didn't go real deep in their running back room either. So probably going to see a whole bunch of people against South Carolina State if things go the way it should in that ball game. Then again, Chennis Berry's got South Carolina State believing, and those guys, when we talked to them on the Palmetto Pigskin Tour, they couldn't wait to get to Columbia.
Well, Phil, did you hear much about the linebacker crew for South Carolina during the preseason?
Well, yeah, we knew Fred Johnson was good. We saw flashes of him last season when he filled in some, so they knew he had great potential. And the others were transfers, and so they were kind of betting on these guys transferring and kind of finding themselves. And they got off to great starts. As I said at the outset, I was very impressed by the play of the linebackers. Hey, thank you for the call. More calls coming up after the break.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Rudy Giuliani, mayor of New York during the September 11th attacks, and a Donald Trump ally will receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
That announcement comes after Giuliani was badly injured in a traffic accident. Giuliani is recovering from a fractured vertebra and other injuries following a car crash in New Hampshire where he was a passenger. On social media, Trump called Giuliani the greatest mayor in the history of New York City. The former mayor was heralded for his leadership following the September 11 attacks, but has sometimes drawn controversy for his defense of President Trump. Giuliani was disbarred as an attorney in New York and Washington after he was found to have repeatedly made false statements over Trump's 2020 election loss. Haya Panjwani, Washington.
A plane carrying European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has been hit by GPS jamming over Bulgaria in a suspected Russian operation.
A European Commission spokeswoman, Ariana Podesta, says we can confirm that there was GPS jamming, and we have received information from the Bulgarian authorities that they suspect that this was due to blatant interference by Russia. The plane landed safely in Plovdiv Airport, and von der Leyen will continue her planned tour of the EU's nations bordering Russia and Belarus. The EC president, a fierce critic of Russian President Vladimir Putin and Moscow's war in Ukraine, is on a 4-day tour of the EU nations bordering Russia and its ally Belarus. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
As events celebrating the contributions of workers in the U.S. are being held for the Labor Day holiday, more than 1.2 million immigrants disappeared from the labor force from January through the end of July. More on these stories available at townhall.com.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money, because you're in charge. And right now, you're going to pay for groceries. But you decide what groceries. Just keep in mind you're running out of dishwashing soap. But you decide if you're going to buy that soap. Just those dishes won't clean themselves, will they? Remember, with Progressive's Name Your Price tool, we'll help you find coverage at a fair price. And then, you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
The dollar has lost over 25% of its value in the past 5 years, and it's only going to get worse. We are Advantage Gold, and we are helping Americans prepare for the great de-dollarization by diversifying their portfolios with physical precious metals. We've partnered with former chief economist of the IMF, Kenneth Rogoff, to give away his latest book called Our Dollar, Your Problem. Call 800-741-GOLD, and we'll rush a free copy to your doorstep and include our special Gold IRA investing kit. Consult your tax and financial professional before investing. Call 800-741-GOLD.
A shallow earthquake in eastern Afghanistan has killed more than 800 people.
The 6.0 magnitude quake late Sunday hit a series of towns and villages in the province of Kunar near the city of Jalalabad in neighbouring Nangarhar province, causing extensive damage. It was just 5 miles deep. Shallow quakes tend to cause more damage. In Kunar, a child cries amidst the rubble of mostly destroyed houses, and men carry an injured person on a makeshift stretcher. A helicopter evacuates wounded people from desolate terrain. Taliban Interior Ministry spokesman Abdul Matin Kani confirmed the casualty figures to the AP, saying the quake has killed at least 620 people and injured at least 1,300, mostly in the Kunar region. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
News and analysis available at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
On-point weather on 107 The Point.
Here's your Labor Day forecast. We're mostly sunny and beautiful today. It'll be breezy. The high temperature topping out at 84. Tonight we'll cool down to 61 as our low. Now for Tuesday, absolutely glorious. Sunshine-filled skies, the high is 83. We'll have high temperatures in the mid-80s for the rest of the work week, and a 20% chance we get some afternoon showers, both Wednesday and Thursday. I'm Cal Moss with your Arm Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make the point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Been one up by Larry Williams of Tiger Illustrated. He apparently posted sometime over the weekend that it was actually, and he's correct, I missed this, it was 2008, 10 years later than what I had said. 2008, the last time Clemson lost back-to-back home games. Lost to Maryland and lost to Georgia Tech. So this is interesting. The last two times, unless I missed something in that 10 years between 98 and 2008, the last two times Clemson has lost back-to-back home games, the coach got fired. Now, in 2008,
same season.
In the same season, and 98 was same season. In this case, South Carolina, LSU. And by the way, Clemson will open next season in Baton Rouge. Go ahead and mark that down as a loss. Go ahead and mark that down as a loss. Don't you think? I mean, Clemson's going to be a brand new team.
Oh, yeah.
When they open up next year. I mean, really, this is their year with this team, this age team.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't get it done, it's going to be starting over. Now, they might be good starting over, but still, going to LSU, brand new quarterback and everything else. Yeah, I'd go ahead and mark that down as a loss.
Yeah, that's going to be really hard to win there.
Of course, LSU will have a new quarterback as well. Nussmeier will be gone. Everybody loses players, but they're willing to go into the portal to fix their needs in a big way, in a heavy way. And you know, Dabo Swinney may be forced to do the same thing. All right, phone number 888-898-2525. It's good to see that great minds, Larry and mine, think alike because we're both looking up the same thing. He's just
speaking. Phil, before we get back to the phones, excuse me, I wanted to get your take since you got to see him play. I mean, what was your impression of Will Hill? They talked a lot about him. That's one of the big transfer portal guys they got from Purdue. What was your impression of his play?
Well, he did have their only sack. So, you know, that was good. He did have the sack. You know, the defense as a whole played well enough to win. I mean, they really did. I mean, they gave up 354 yards. They did give up some big plays, but I would still say they played well enough to win. There were some guys that you would expect to have heard more from that you didn't hear a whole lot from. Like now, you know, Hannafin, of course, you don't like your safeties making 12 tackles, but he did. Sammy Brown had a big game with 11 tackles, and Peter Woods had 5 tackles. TJ Parker didn't really impact the game like he normally has. I don't think he impacted the game in a big way. He had 3 tackles. Helt had 3 tackles and the Tigers' only sack. So, I thought he was fine. The defense overall, played pretty well. They just. I'm just trying to recall there at the very end where they came up a little bit short. Trying to remember exactly what happened there in the fourth quarter, and I'll have that in front of me in just a second. But I thought that they played well enough as a defense to win. Helt in particular didn't. Nobody in particular really stood out to me on the defensive side per se. It just, generally speaking, they played well enough to win as a defense.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they held LSU to 17 points, maybe 24 if they don't have the touchdown overturned. But yeah, for the most part, that should be enough for them to win. We felt like Clemson's offense would be able to score a bunch, and that was clearly not the case.
All right, phone number 888-898-2525 is our phone number here on Sports Talk. Get back to your phone calls in just a second. I want to remind you, as the weather begins to turn here and things, kind of cool off a little bit. Had a very pleasant day today. The humidity's down, so we had a very pleasant day today. Still opportunity for you to get to Garden City and Murrells Inlet and Litchfield and Pawleys and have yourself a great time at the beach, Myrtle Beach as well. Make sure you look up Jimmy Smith and give Jimmy a call to let him handle all your plans and your accommodations. 843-237-4246 is the number. PawleysVacationRentals.com is how you can reach him online. 843-237-4246. That's James Smith Real Estate for your perfect beach getaway. Just what I was trying to remind myself about was, Clemson offensively, because they were shut out in the second half. So the offense wasn't getting it done. They were shut out in the second half. Their second half constituted of a missed field goal, interception, a punt, loss on downs, a punt, and loss on downs. I mean, they just weren't very good on the offensive side, but the defense gave them a chance because they gave up that touchdown, and this was probably the one drive that LSU put together is very impressive. 11 plays, 73 yards. Started late in the third quarter, carried over into the fourth quarter, and but then 2 punts to finish it out. So after they scored that touchdown, LSU, with 12:18 to play in the ball game, the Clemson defense did its job, but the offense couldn't respond. It's a complimentary game. They needed the offense to make something happen, and the offense just couldn't create anything against that LSU defense. You have to credit the LSU defense for the way it played the entire game. I mean, they held Clemson to 261 yards and only 31 yards on the ground. So there's plenty of finger-pointing to go around up at Clemson after this particular loss, but you got to really look at what they're doing on offense. And that's why I asked the question. You're paying your offensive coordinator $2 million, and he's got to produce more than against these better teams. And if you're going to get anywhere, you got to beat SEC teams. You're not going to beat them generally scoring 10 to 12 points a game, generally speaking. Though this one was still there for the taking. As poor as the offense was going, it was still there for the taking. They just couldn't get anything going, couldn't make any big plays on offense.
No, and even they had a final drive, in the final 4 minutes, I think they got the football back with Cade Klubnik. You would expect the offense at home to drive right down the field and tie that game. I fully anticipated that's exactly what they would do. And to LSU's credit, keep in mind, this was a LSU defense that was much maligned during the offseason and how poorly they played last year, and probably is the reason they didn't go to the playoffs last year. That unit shows up every week. It's going to be awfully hard to beat LSU.
Well, yeah, Clemson drove it to the LSU 13, and Klubnik under pressure threw an incomplete pass, and that was it. LSU took it on a knee for the rest of the way. 888-898-2525, the number. Let's go to where are we going? We're going to go to Keith in Camden for our next phone call. Keith, welcome into Sports Talk tonight. How are you?
I'm doing well, Phil, Chris. Hope y'all are.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I read, I think 57% of Clemson's QB passes, he was under pressure. So in key moments, that did seem to make a difference. But going to the Carolina game, we struggled blocking, run blocking, pass blocking. But when they went to the two-back set, I said to my son, he's going deep. And that's the one time that he really did have true protection. But I couldn't figure out between the center and the left guard if we were zone blocking. Halftime we wasn't doing no blocking, but what did y'all see in that scheme? It was a little disappointing, but I think it could be fixed. But I'm just curious.
Well, that's why we have Zach coming up here at the bottom of the hour to ask him those kind of questions. To me, it's zone blocking. I mean, I guess they were running, zone reads back there. So I don't know that it was man-to-man blocking. To me, it looked like zone blocking, but I'm no expert on that kind of stuff. I think that they went with, of course, Boaz Stanley was the starting center, so they went with him there. Let's see, they went with. Let me pull up my depth chart here real quick, just so I'm 100% certain on this. They went with.
Oh, you got a depth chart?
Well, they did not have one, but I put one together. They did not have a depth chart for you. On the flip card, they didn't have a depth chart even.
Wow.
So Thompson,
I thought they were going to release one.
No, they never. Injury. He's going to have a chance to play at some point. But maybe that's about it for them because maybe others haven't stepped up and shown the coaches that they're ready to go. I think Nick Sharp's got to help him out at some point, transfer offensive lineman from Wake Forest at some point. Again, assuming he's healthy and all, at some point he's got to help him out. All right, let's go to Bruce in Missouri. Bruce in Missouri up with us next here on Sports Talk. Hello, Bruce.
Hey, Phil. I'd like to predict this season, or Gamecock Larry season. He ought to be here. But anyway, back in 1985, I was hired at Clemson University to be on the photography staff, and so my first game on the field at Clemson was Virginia Tech, and Beamer was coaching.
You were building what kind of staff?
What did you say?
You said you were hired by Clemson to do what?
To be the staff photographer over the photography section.
Oh, okay, all right.
we're the ones that did all the printing of everything that was going on at Clemson, photography and everything.
Okay.
We had 7 professional photographers under me. Anyway, so this is my first game.
Okay.
So I go across the field to the other side on the Virginia Tech side. All the other guys over there on the Clemson side. And so I had a ball over there, running up and down the field, with that. And they, it was the second quarter. Clemson got backed up, and the punter was in the end zone. So I knew this was going to happen. Virginia Tech blocked the football. I don't know if you remember that or not, if you were there.
You said 1985?
Yes.
Yeah, chances are I was there.
Okay. I was wearing orange overalls.
That doesn't surprise me.
So anyway, I got that shot, and we would go in the second, and go in at halftime and start, processing the shots we had. It was me to decide what we're going to do with whoever shot, and it might have been the turn of the game or whatever in the first half. And I got that shot in there. Anyway, the guy that was over the athletic news information, I don't remember his name right now.
Bob Bradley?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Monday morning, he calls me up. He said, now listen, we're trying to promote Clemson, not the other team, Bruce. And I said, well, I was figuring it was going to be blocked, and it was. And he said, well, I tell you what, we don't want that in the little package we give to these, weekly newspapers. And I said, okay, I won't do it again. But I did it with...
That's funny. Mr. Bradley.
Yeah.
Mr. Bradley bringing the hammer. Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yep, good hearing from you. How about that, Bob Bradley doing that? It's so apropos how South Carolina, the touchdown pass was the icing on the cake. The punt return turned the game in their favor, Bergie. So apropos that a special teams play generated by the decision made by the head coach Beamer was done against Virginia Tech with his dad in the stands, where his dad, of course, not only became a Hall of Fame coach, his legacy at Virginia Tech was largely built around the play of his special teams. It's just uncanny.
Yeah, it really is. And, I was sitting there watching yesterday. I was thinking, why is he declining that? Why does he want them to punt it again? Take the 5 yards. You're at the 30. Let your offense go out there. You've got the football secured. Anything can happen on special teams, and that's exactly what he was counting on. And Joe DeCamillis deserves a lot of credit for schooling his guys, Phil. If you watch that punt return by Vicari Swain again on replay, you watch a couple of the guys could have easily had those block-in-the-back penalties that we normally see, and they just slid out of the way. They held their hands up in the air and turned to the side so as not to commit a penalty, which would have cost them that touchdown.
Yeah. And it was a good punt. Again, I think that the Virginia Tech punter probably outpunted his coverage on that and gave Swain a little bit of room to be able to return the football. That's pretty impressive and a pretty big moment in that ball game, because that game could still have gone either way at that point. And it still wasn't put away until they hit that big touchdown pass. But that certainly turned the building 55,000 plus on hand, 55,000 plus. It was not a full house, but it was a loud house, and it turned it in the Gamecocks' favor when that happened. Okay, we'll hit the break here on Sports Talk. We'll come back with more of your phone calls and some text messages and other notes. And Zach Willis coming up shortly as well. Be back in a moment.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love, and you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
Life insurance isn't for you. It's for those you love the most. For a complete insurance review, call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, serving Lawrence, Clinton, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
When South Carolina's best high school football players take the field at the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl, they're backed by a powerful team of their own. As proud title sponsors, your local co-ops celebrate more than just a game. It's a tradition where talent shines, where teamwork matters, and where community spirit takes center stage. Don't miss the 78th Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl, December 13th at Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium in Myrtle Beach, powered by your electric cooperative.
Talking about that punt. The first one went 46 yards out of bounds, USC 26. The penalty was before the snap. So they would have added 5 yards. So the Gamecocks would have had the ball at their own 31. The next punt went 57 yards. It was a 57-yard punt to the USC 20. And Swain took it from there, 80 yards back to the house. So, yeah, he boomed that second one. I could tell when he kicked it, I said, that thing, it might go over his head. And this thing, and I'm thinking, well, this thing's going to work out to Virginia Tech's advantage.
Right, exactly.
And that's the chance you take as a head coach. Okay, you're right. I got the safety thing here of starting at my 31. And if I decline and have them punt it again, what could happen? I could rough the punter. I could fumble the punt. He could kick it over our head and pin us back, all these things. Or we could return it for a touchdown,
Well, and that was the other aspect of it when I saw him telling the referee, no, I don't want the 5 yards added to the end of the kick. I want them to re-kick. I thought they were going to try and block it. And then you could see as soon as the snap occurred, they were setting up the return. And, I mean, they played that about as well as you could possibly. If you're going to roll the dice like that, that's you want sevens to show up on the other end, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and he said afterwards that he was told by a coach one time that nothing ever good happens for the team that has to re-kick, whether it's on a kickoff or a punt. He said he lived that himself in 2009, I think it was, at South Carolina, where they had to re-kick to Clemson, a kickoff, and C.J. Spiller took the re-kick to the house, like 100 yards or something.
The guys, my guess is the guys on the coverage team are tired.
Yeah.
They just had to run a 70-yard sprint, and now they've got to do it again.
Yeah, and their focus is probably a little bit off. All right, back to the phones, 888-898-2525. Let's go to Nick in Gaston up next here on Sports Talk. Welcome in, Nick. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Bruce, since you don't pay taxes in America, man, I don't even know if you should be able to comment on college football. You're not even a citizen, brother, so it's like me talking about soccer in England or something. Yeah. All right, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Based on what you've seen and the spectacular start that the Gamecocks have had, is Lenore Sellers going to win the Heisman this year? I mean, is he going to do it?
You know what? I don't think any of the so-called Heisman front-runners did themselves a lot of good this first weekend, right? Look at Arch Manning. Look at Cade Klubnik. mean, Sellers was okay, but wasn't Heisman. He didn't look like Heisman material to me overall. I mean, he looked okay. He got his team a win. Klubnik and Manning could not get their teams a victory. So that thing's wide open right now. I mean, it was wide open despite all the predictions and the preseason odds and all that. It's a wide open trophy right now. So I don't think in my eyes, I mean, I don't think he really hurt himself. I don't think he took this major step to say, hey, I'm now the front runner for the Heisman Trophy. He's got to do a little bit more than what we just saw on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, so maybe it's a little early to tell.
I would say so. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's what I say too, man. Because I hear it every year. I heard it with a lot of Clemson coaches, but every year that was last year. It's just last year, and then there was, then there was another trophy, and then it was his last year, and then there was a championship. So yeah, it's a little early to tell, fellas. So
that's why it's called Overreaction Monday after the first weekend. Overreaction. Thank you very much, Nick. Great hearing from you. Appreciate it. Good hearing from you. All right, break is coming up. Zach Willis is coming up as well, and more phone calls coming up. We'll drop in a few recruiting notes as well. We'll also talk about the race, Southern 500, Cookout Southern 500. Hey, our man Chase Briscoe. Every time he's on Sports Talk, he wins the Cookout Southern 500. I can guarantee you come next August, we are must-be interviewed radio for him. He's going to make sure that he talks to us because every time he talks to us, he wins the race at Darlington. So it's a good race as far as the end is concerned. We'll talk more about it coming up.
On Point weather on 107 The Point.
Here's your Labor Day forecast. We're mostly sunny and beautiful today. It'll be breezy. The high temperature topping out at 84. Tonight will cool down to 61 as our low. Now for Tuesday, absolutely glorious. Sunshine-filled skies, the high is 83. We'll have high temperatures in the mid-80s for the rest of the work week, and a 20% chance we get some afternoon showers, both Wednesday and Thursday. I'm Cal Moss with your Arm Point local weather.
Palmetto State Armory is on a mission of making freedom available to all Americans. And with retail stores across South Carolina and a fully stocked online shop, we're delivering freedom coast to coast. PSA is an American-made and veteran-owned firearms company built for those who believe in the Second Amendment and the strength of self-reliance. From suppressors, firearms, ammo, and accessories to fishing gear and apparel, we're more than a gun company. We're a movement. Visit us in store or online at PalmettoStateArmory.com. Palmetto State Armory, American-made for life.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A House committee investigating the Justice Department's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking case has withdrawn a subpoena to former FBI Director Robert Mueller. Mueller had been directed last month to appear before the House Oversight Committee on Tuesday for a deposition, but the subpoena was withdrawn after the panel learned of unspecified health issues that precluded him from being able to testify. The New York Times reports that Mueller has been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in the summer of 2021 and has had difficulty speaking. President Trump is awarding former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani the Presidential Medal of Freedom, announcing the honor 2 days after his political ally was badly injured in a traffic accident. More details at srnnews.com.
Lots of plumbing companies out there. Few are truly local. Time to discover the difference with Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, when I faced plumbing woes at the Cohen home, Josh and his dedicated team, well, they were my go-to solution. They make a commitment to exceptional service. They arrived on time, clearly detailed all the costs and procedures, and efficiently handled all my repairs without any surprises. These days, how often do we complain about a lack of customer service out there? With Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, these folks are professional. They're courteous. They're skilled at what they do, and they've earned my trust, and they've earned my recommendation to you. From urgent repairs to the tankless water heater you've always wanted, they've got you covered. Visit FranklinPlumbingSC.com or call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. Hey, you tell them Kev sent you from The Point. I'm pretty sure you'll want to thank me later.
I remember brushing my hair and looking down and thinking, oh my gosh, do I have any hair left?
I used to look at women with thick, beautiful hair and think, why doesn't my hair look like that?
My thinning hair is making me feel so old.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. With clinically proven ingredients like apple extract, biotin, and millet, Hair Volume nourishes your hair follicles to promote thicker, healthier-looking hair. Say goodbye to shedding, thin, and dull hair, and hello to thick, healthy hair with Hair Volume.
Since taking Hair Volume, the shedding has all but stopped.
Now, instead of being jealous of other women's hair, I have friends who are jealous of mine.
My hairdresser couldn't believe the difference in my hair. Now she's using Hair Volume too.
Available as a tablet or delicious gummy, Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com, or find Hair Volume in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Hello, this is Stacy Huff, host of Huff Nation Sports Zone, each and every Saturday, 10 to 11 a.m. right here on 100.7 FM, The Point, and also 1470 a.m. It'll be a fun trip around the world of sports. Huff Nation Sports Zone, check it out.
This is Fran Halloran, the Money Coach. Grow with The Point as we build on 10 incredible years of community local radio. We've built an environment where our listeners are our family. Are you a small business with big dreams? Join the tremendous stable of advertising partners at The Point. Connect with Kevin Cohen and brainstorm a tailored strategy to escalate your business growth using the powerful platform of The Point. Call Kev directly at 563-8558. Teaming with The Point, you can make the next year your best year.
Hi, I'm Tazima. Join me every Saturday at 11 a.m. for Small Business Saturday. We'll celebrate business owners in our community while learning their stories of success and failure. It's Small Business Saturday right here at 100.7 The Point.
Now, First and 10 with Zach Willis on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Thank you, Mrs. Willis, for that introduction of the coach, Zach Willis. First and 10 here on Sports Talk. First up, 10 minutes, maybe a little more. But first and 10 sounds better than first and 15. Nobody wants to be behind the chains here on Sports Talk, talking football with the coach, Zach Willis. It's an overreaction Monday night. Welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, Phil. Hopefully I don't overreact.
It's hard not to overreact because we've been talking about these particular games that we just witnessed for about 6 months. And what we saw is what we saw. Let's begin with the Clemson game against LSU. What'd you think? What'd you take away from what you saw with the Tigers? Where do you think they go from here?
Well, a couple things. First, I thought first half pretty much according to script. I wouldn't say happy. Our offense concerned me right off the bat. Klubnik's body language, he kind of had that lost look he had when they don't play great. But defensively, they were outstanding, really played physical and hard. They forced LSU into some critical mistakes in that ball game and had a 10-3 halftime lead. And I felt like they were on track at that point. One thing that did kind of concern me was a lack of contain, and it was obvious to me. We've covered LSU with Nussmeier here for a few years, and one thing you know about him, he's just like Klubnik. He's going to scramble to his dominant side. And they didn't pressure from there. They should have brought all their pressures, especially Brownlee pressures, which means from the balls into the sideline. And even when they didn't, keep him in the pocket because he escaped to his right all night long and really was not harassed at all. LSU, on the other hand, did a good job of containing Klubnik for the most part.
Clemson's offense. I mean, hey, they pay the offensive coordinator a lot of money. And offensive coordinators, their one job is to score points. That's what you're there to do, score points. And I'd have to say that it's been a failure for the most part so far under Garrett Riley in these bigger games against these better opponents. Yeah, they'll score a bunch of points against Troy and some of the other teams they'll play, but I mean, you're going to be measured by how you do against these SEC teams, or if you face a Big Ten team in the playoffs.
Yeah, and the thing is, Phil, this is an opportunity. Obviously, it's early in the year, and that's going to always be tough. The offense will always lag behind defense. You in the spring practice, any time, it's just kind of the nature of our game. But the thing that I see and have seen with Cade Klubnik since they've gotten Mr. Riley in there to coach him is when you can tell real early on when he's going to struggle, because he doesn't seem to know what he's looking at downfield. And going back and looking at the routes they were running, when they ran the slower developing stuff, their receivers can't separate. There's a lot of problems, to be honest. Receivers can't separate. Wesco, at least for this game, had a crucial drop that Klubnik made a Heisman Trophy level throw, and he dropped it. They had some other kids make great catches, but it seems to me like as their receivers go, we don't see the T. Higgins and Rosses, those type of recruits, Mike Williams. Of course, these guys Ross unfortunately had an injury that stopped his career, but he'd have been an all-pro receiver. Might have been the best one out of all of them, we'll never know. But those kids had a different level of talent. These guys are not as physical, to be honest. They're not as fast. And they seem to slow down the longer they're at Clemson. And it may be injuries. It could be a number of things. But I just don't see fundamental improvement at that position. And running back's the other one. Their pass protection got them in trouble. They couldn't lead block except down on the goal line, where I thought they did a great job running it in, but they abandoned the running game. And we'll talk about Carolina too, but just don't see the development and the improvement we should see there.
Yeah, I was going to go to the running game next for Clemson. I mean, they didn't try to run it almost the entire second half. They, like you said, they abandoned it. And, I mean, I think they've got themselves right now, just based on, again, overreacting Monday here, but based on what we saw, they kind of got themselves in a pickle here with their running backs and their running game, it looks like.
Well, I got a lot of confidence in Coach Sweeney. And people accuse me of being whatever. If I'm biased against both the head coaches because I think they're good coaches. Dabo Swinney's played for 4 national championships, won 2, and he's, God knows, I don't know how many ACC championships he's won, but a lot. And he's won a ton of them. And he is great after a loss. If you watch him, he knows how to handle a teachable moment. He's a positive human being. He was already talking, and he's hard on his kids. I'm concerned about the progression of these athletes as they matriculate through that program, getting better. Defensively, no concern there. They played their guts out. They got tired, and then they had 2 crucial penalties. We'd have went in overtime in that ballgame where Clemson could have kicked the field goal and beat LSU. They had 2 flagrant fouls. That pass interference, they couldn't see. It was very bad defensive holding. They got beat inside. I really don't know why they went 0 coverage, or I think that's what they were in, or man 3-1 on a 3rd down and 12 when they got great pass rushers. Just force those guys to throw it shallow and rally up and get the ball. You don't need to be aggressive there. Of course, we're second guessing, but that's our job. But the kid let him inside, blew the coverage, and he did a good job of grabbing him because he'd have scored if he had. But then they had a boneheaded play roughing the quarterback, and that was a different. Those 2 penalties, everything else is even. LSU's offense stuck it up too, so they weren't any better. The 2 defenses dominated that football game, and LSU just had the right breaks at the right time, and Clemson didn't, and it was a heck of a ball game.
No question about it. No question about it. Zach Willis, first and 10 with us here on Sports Talk. Zach, still with us? Yeah.
I am, I hope.
Yeah, we just kind of lost your stream for a second, but your voice is with us, so that's You're good. Hey, that's the most important thing, is being heard, not seen. All right, let's go to South Carolina then, and Virginia Tech. And, again, not particularly pretty on offense, just enough offense, big special teams play. Well, let me ask you, the coaching decision that Beamer made, would you have made that same decision? I mean, how many coaches would have made that call?
Well, he said something that very few people go by anymore, but his dad, he gave credit to somebody else, but I heard his daddy say it in a clinic one time. There's nothing good that can happen when you got to punt again.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much that goes into punt protection, punt coverage, punter catching the ball, getting it off, getting good coverage down the field. And South Carolina had it set up actually to return it the other way. And top two covers on the offense pretty much up the middle and then bounced it out down the right sideline. But I thought it was a brilliant decision on his part. It was an old school decision. He's more of an old school coach. You know, he's another one. He's starting to show us this guy knows how to coach a tough, physical, very well-rounded football team, and they're great in the portal. They've addressed their weaknesses. They're just as good as they were last year, maybe a little bit different, but very well-rounded. But I'll leave it just excellent call. I was in favor of it. He doesn't do crazy stuff like go for it on his own 24-yard line, but he'll let them punt it again. Now, that's the stuff I like.
Yeah.
And it paid off. I kind of had a feeling. I told you, you know, we go back and forth. A lot of people already know that, but I said that's all on the head coach. Now, that one right there, I worked for a man named Mark D'Antonio who was as gutsy and great game manager, including him and Coach Holtz, as you could ever have. And that was a Hall of Fame worthy call right there. That's the kind of thing that you can hang your hat on. You're going to win some football games because this guy knows what he's doing. And I just was really, really impressed to see that level of coaching because we don't see that much anymore. So kudos to Coach Beamer. We've seen, you know, I want to say this too, Dabo doing the pooch kicky lined up in punt formation, field goal formation, and pooching that ball down there. That's the kind of, that's coaching there. That's game management. You don't control a lot of stuff. Certainly Dabo can't control pass interference or late hits. That's something they teach. But he can control that, and Shane controlled that, and Shane Beamer and his coaches that coach special team, Coach D. Camillus, who's an excellent hire, by the way. Another great hire by Shane. Great job. 10 out of 10, and it won the game for him.
Offensive line issues. You see a bunch?
First game, I'm going to take a pass. I like the, I want to be fair, and I know folks tune in to hear me get after people when they deserve it, but we cannot judge an offensive line after the first game. Now, here's what I'll say. Both of them played good teams. Clemson played a better team, but they played at home. Okay? But now Virginia Tech's pretty good.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech's got two wide receivers that are as good as any in the country. At high point in the ball. They were covered up and went up and got the ball repeatedly. And their quarterback's a good player. But let's give them a week or two because your biggest improvement comes from week 1 to week 2. And then let's see how Clemson played against Georgia Tech. We really know a lot there. They got a great football team too. And South Carolina will get in the SEC, and we'll see.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they were shaky, but that's going to happen.
What'd you see from Sellers?
What I expected. I mean, I felt like, and again, I think Coach Beamer is more, and we got two guys that are winning coaches, but they're a little bit more conservative than maybe their personalities lead on to. I think they felt like they were better than Virginia Tech. I felt like they were. And when you do that, you can play it a little bit more conservatively. Lean on that defense. And I do want to say this, and then I'll get back to Sellers. South Carolina's defense, they play with such frenetic effort. I mean, they play, I hope I'm allowed to say balls to the wall, but wide open, extremely, and that's back. Last year it was there. One kid hurt himself on the sack and just all-out effort, just throwing his body around. I love the effort there. Of course, Clemson had that too. We talked about how well they played on defense. But with Sellers, I thought it was a good performance. He stayed within himself. He didn't try to do too much. And I think they were just conservative with him the first time out of the gate, not wanting to get him beat up like they did last year, and also not putting themselves in position to make unforced errors and lose a ball game. That's what I saw, and I think he obviously he delivered when he had to put the game away. Beautiful throw.
Oh.
And I love seeing Harbor make that big catch. I'll do a lot for that kid's confidence, and he's got tons of talent.
Longest completion of Sellers' career, 64 yards. First punt return for a touchdown by the Gamecocks since
Ace Sanders.
Yep. 2013 Michigan bowl game. Yep. Ace Sanders. His wasn't as long. His wasn't. I don't think his was 80 yards. It wasn't as long. Before we let you go, got about maybe another minute, but I went to Furman. I always love going to Furman. It's still a great place to go watch a football game. A little disappointed in the crowd. Crowd was not what I thought it would be, but maybe coming off the type of season they had, they've got to regain their following. They look good.
Well, we've got high hopes, Phil. That's where folks who don't know, that's where I sat on the bench at and posed as a player.
I'm still trying to figure out how you got in. I mean, you went to McCall High School.
I was a Furman scholar, brother. Just so you know, I walked on as an academic guy and made it. I don't sound like it, and dang sure don't look like it, but I was. My sister Happy had all the brains in the family. She went to Wofford. But who'd have thunk it, right?
Your sister's name was Happy?
My mom's a child of the 60s, and what a wonderful mom she is. She's probably listening down at Ocean Isle Beach tonight. But, my sister's name is Happy Lee Willis, now Maglino, of course. But, I was 67, she was 69, so, you out of high school by then, Phil?
67. All right, so real quick, Hedden looks like a good quarterback to me at Furman.
Yeah.
Looks like a good quarterback. Big, strong.
We're looking for big things out of him. I was talking to my teammates, and obviously they've got Presbyterian this week, so hopefully that'll be a win too. But William and Mary's a good win for them.
How about PC going to Mercer and winning, though?
Hey, I don't follow small college ball. I look at the Gamecocks and the Tigers most weeks, and I'll try to sneak a peek for Chris at Coastal when I can.
Yeah.
But, there's no givens in college ball at any level, and especially when you get below the BCS level. I can remember some fun times, us coming back from beating 1AA schools at that school you got the shirt on for, Old Newberry, there years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And congratulations to the Blue Hose on that big upset.
Zach, as always, great stuff, man. We love when you talk dirty football to us, so we will talk to you next week.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, guys. Have a good one.
You got it, brother. Zach Willis and his sister Happy. Happy. Like that.
And how about Coach, Newberry guy, giving some praise to PC? That had to be hard for him to swallow.
Yeah, probably so. Maybe not.
Good for him.
Maybe not.
Good for him.
All right, to the break we go. We got a little bit of recruiting and talk a little NASCAR as well. The race. Chase Briscoe stamping his ticket into the next round of the playoffs. So he's the one that is definitely secure. So
making some history in the process.
He's got to be feeling good. Yeah. Okay, we'll hit the break. Be back with more in a moment.
Football season is upon us, and that means Columbia is welcoming fans from around the corner and across the country. No matter where you're from, Gamecocks love coming together for game day energy that can only be found in South Carolina's capital city. Book hotel rooms, find pre- and post-game activities, and plan your tailgate spread with local favorites from pimento cheese to barbecue at experiencecolumbiasc.com. We'll see you soon, and go Gamecocks!
Looking to make life simple and save money? Transfer your credit card balance to a Founders credit card and take advantage of our balance transfer rates as low as 2.99% APR. Plus, you'll pay no balance transfer fees. Now through September 30th. Save more and stress less with this limited time offer. Promotional rate expires 6 months from the date of the transaction. Then effective APR of 13.25% to 17.90% will apply. For more details, visit foundersfcu.com/cc. Membership qualification required.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hosteller Brown. Did you know your will is designed for your assets to pass through the probate court? If you want to keep your loved ones out of court, a revocable trust is a great place to start. Visit lawyerlisa.com for more information and to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at sccattle.org. Beef. It's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff program.
Straight Up Sports is simply all sports, all the time. Straight Up Sports is a collection of retired and award-winning sports writers and sports broadcasters from around South Carolina. Like Bob Gillespie from the State Newspaper, Scott Kiefer from the Greenville News, and Mark Sturgis from ESPN Upstate. Straight Up Sports is about the stories, just like the days gone by with no editors nor managers involved. Check us out on Facebook or Twitter or online at straightupsports.net.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Okay, some recruiting on this holiday night brought to you by Seawells. Reminder to get out and enjoy the daily luncheon buffet at Seawells beginning tomorrow for the rest of this week from 11 till 2 for only $15. You will be pleasantly surprised if you don't know what to expect. If you know what to expect, then you'll know what you'll be getting into. A great, great luncheon buffet. Again, at Seawells on Rosewood Drive, across from the State Fairgrounds. And let Seawells take care of all your important catering needs. Just give them a call at 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. All right, once again, Clemson had a boatload of prospects in for their game against LSU. Most of those identified themselves as going to Clemson. In the 26 class, offensive tackle Fletcher Turk, running back Jalon Terry, and defensive end Franklin Whitley, who's out of Greenville. In the 27 class, linebacker Jalathan Mayfield, defensive end Santana Harvey, safety Davion Jones, safety Harrison Luke, cornerback Joshua Dobson, safety Marquise Bryant, linebacker Trip Keller, offensive tackle Nate Carson, tight end Grant Haviland, defensive back Robert Geathers III, offensive lineman Jaden Dean, running back Jerry Beard, defensive end KJ Green, safety Jaden Aparicio Bailey, defensive end Jaden Bryant, linebacker Quentin Cipher, offensive lineman Kennedy Brown, tight end Jackson Dollar, running back Trey Segara, linebacker Caden Henderson, defensive lineman Seth Tillman, defensive end Rashad Streets, defensive end Jaden Worth, 28 class, defensive end Asher Giotto, receiver Trey Wembley, quarterback Grayson Clary, linebacker Jay Shell. Clemson offered 2027 cornerback Bryant Robinson of Frisco, Texas. 27 running back Aiden Gibson of Woodruff was at the USC-Virginia Tech game in Atlanta as a guest of the Gamecocks. 27 offensive lineman Reed Ramseur of Orlando will have a game day visit to Clemson on November the 1st. Clemson also had a couple of basketball prospects in for official visits. 6'5" Harris Reynolds of Atlanta and 6'10" Will Stevens of Lake Norman, North Carolina. They had some others in for unofficials, but those are the two who were in for officials. That is it for recruiting tonight, brought to you by Seawells. Quick word on the race at the Cookout Southern 500. It was a dominant performance by Chase Briscoe. Did get a little tight last 10 or 15 laps, Bergie.
Understatement of the day. Chase Briscoe leading 309 of the 367 laps they ran last night to claim his second straight Southern 500. And Phil, this would have been a great trivia question for us to have asked to give away the tickets, because I did not realize this. He's the first guy to go back-to-back at the Southern 500 since 05 and 06 when Greg Biffle, of all people, did it. So what he has accomplished does not happen very often at Darlington. And it brings up a question I can hardly wait to ask either Josh or Jeff later on in the week with regards to the latest sort of non-competitive races at Darlington. 309 laps led last night by Chase Briscoe. You go back to the spring race, and you had William Byron lead 243 of the 297 at the Goodyear 400. I mean, some of these guys are getting dialed in, and they just run away and leave everybody.
Yeah.
And, Darlington has built its reputation on being the toughest track on the circuit. Well, these guys are figuring out a way to make it look pretty mundane.
Individually, yes, some teams certainly are. And, you don't like to see them get strung out at Darlington and one guy run away from the pack. But it was good that he got tight, and you did have a little battle to the end there. So, but Briscoe Briscoe's a heck of a driver.
Yes, he is, and you're right. We gave him sort of the Sports Talk kiss, and I'm guaranteeing he's going to want to talk to you next year about this time. But, and Tyler Reddick, to his credit, I mean, here's a guy who avoided a disaster on the opening lap. I mean, you got Josh Berry runs into him and sort of scrapes the wall, and Berry's out pretty much for a good bit of the race, has to go back to the garage to get his car fixed. Reddick could have been done right there and somehow found a way to stay in the race and gave Chase Briscoe everything he could handle down the stretch. But Briscoe's car was just a little bit better.
All right, well, he's going to advance to the playoffs. He knows he's locked into the second round, so a good night for his team all the way around, and his second win of the season as well. He's been good. Much of the season been right there in a lot of cases, and now has gotten a couple of wins. All right, that'll do it. Sorry we couldn't get to all the calls. We'll pick back up on those tomorrow night. A Talking Tuesday tomorrow on schedule. Sweeney and Beamer doing their thing tomorrow. We'll have it covered. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.